Here we go. This is section 3-4. We're solving by factor. Okay? Somebody that still has their green book out, read me one of those factoring problems out just so we have an example. What number? 1. Number 1. X squared.
Plus 5x plus 6.
All right, very good. First step of factoring, rule number 1 of factoring is what? Anybody know? Rule number 1 of any factoring problem. If you're solving by factoring, if the directions say factoring, if you're using factoring to solve a quadratic, what's rule number 1? Always, every day this week. 3 letters. Very good. GCF. Very good. GCF. You're going to be lulled today into not thinking about the GCF. I think there's 1 or 2 problems today, total, out of all the problems we do today that has a GCF. Don't get lulled into not thinking about it. Just because this problem doesn't have a GCF, you still have to be looking for a GCF, a greatest common factor. Okay? If this wasn't here, what would your GCF be? If you just had x squared plus 5x, what would your GCF be? X, right? They both would have an x in them. Okay? Sometimes when there's a, like let's say that was 3 and that was 15, then it would have a 3, and you would pull the 3 out. We'll talk more about GCF, but you can't forget about GCF. You've got to be thinking. GCF, GCF, GCF. Even though these don't have them, and they're easy, don't lose sight of GCF. All right, so first step is GCF. Then you do your parentheses. That's easy. Then you can go ahead and put x and x. Because A is 1, everything today, A will be 1, you can go ahead and write x and x. They're the only 2 things in the universe that you can multiply together that give you x squared. Okay? X times x. That's your only choice. The next step is going to be to look at this sign. If this sign is positive, what does that tell you? No. If that sign is positive, and you don't know anything about these signs, positive or negative, this sign tells you that they're going to be the same. That's right. That means they're both going to be negative or they're both going to be positive. They're going to be the same. Then you have to look at this first sign. Look at it, and it tells you whether or not they're both positive or both negative. So we look here first, positive, tells us they're the same. And we look here and we see positive, and that tells us they're both positive. So I can go ahead and write that in. Plus, plus. We got 90% of it done. All I need is a number, and I'm done. Okay? The next step is we factor C. This number here, whatever it is, we're going to break that number down. If this is a 6, we're going to say 6 and 1 and 3 and 2. And that's it. Those are only factors of 6. It's pretty easy. The next step is where you have to have some brain power. Okay, you have to be able to look at B, positive 5x in the middle here, and you have to look at your factors and say, which one of these factors is going to be able to give me positive 5x? And you may be saying to yourself, hey, 6 minus 1 would give me 5x. Or 3 plus 2 would give me 5x. You've got to be smart enough to know, hey, it's positive and positive. I can't say 6 minus 1 if they're both positive. So the only factor that makes sense is 3 and 2. I plug in a 3 here and I plug in a 2 here. Am I done? You're done with the problem, but what do you need to do on every single problem? You need to check it. You have a nice, easy way of checking. You can FOIL it out. First gives you x squared, outside gives you 2x, inside gives you 3x, and last gives you positive 6. You combine your inside terms and you get 5x. X squared plus 5x plus 6. So every single problem you can check using the FOIL method, and you know without a doubt that you got it correct. X squared plus 5x plus 6. Questions? Any questions? All right, let's try another one. Somebody read me out one where the signs are a little different. Cody, how about you reading one out for me?
X squared minus 8x minus 1.
Okay, very good. Step one is what, Cody?
Finding the GCF.
Is there a GCF?
Yes.
Nope. No GCF. They all don't have an X. This has a 2 and a 2, but this one doesn't. There's no GCF. Okay? So I write my parentheses there and there. I can go ahead and put X because A is simply 1. I know I got X and X. Piece of cake. Then I look right here at this sign. What is this sign?
Negative.
It's negative, which tells me my signs are what?
Different.
Different. One's positive and one's negative. Doesn't matter which one for now. Doesn't matter which one for now. If that's negative, then one's positive and one's negative. Next step is to break down 20. There's 20, you break it all the way down. I can do 20 and 1, I can do 10 and 2, I can do 5 and 4. Are there any others?
No.
No? No others. Out of these factors, which one of these factors has anything at all to do with negative 8?
4.
10 and 2. You have to be a little smart. You got to be able to see the next step down. If I'm trying to get negative 8, how can I make that out of 10 and 2 into a negative 8?
Negative 10 plus 2.
Negative 10 and positive 2. What do I have to do?
Check.
This is not the guess method. This is the guess and check method. You've got to check it in order to make sense. Okay, in order to know you've gotten it right. And let me show you a tip to make your life a little easier. FOIL, you really don't have to do the F. If you've set it up right, we know that X and X is X squared. And you really don't have to do the L, right? 2 times 10, or 2 times negative 10 is going to be negative 20. All you really have to do is the inside and the outside, which gives you negative 8x, which is what you started with, so you know you've got it correct. Okay? Questions? Any questions? What's our time?
7:23.
All right, hit the record button, please.